Welcome back to the Hip Replacement Podcast. And I have to tell you that with all of the excitement going on around here lately, I completely forgot about a significant day yesterday. It was the 11-year anniversary of one of my hip replacements. 11 years. And that is my younger hip. I have one that's going to be almost 13 years pretty soon, but 11 years. Wow. Pretty significant. I never thought that this day would get here. The hips are the same components, the same surgeon, the same procedure, and I expect both of them to last a long, long time. The 11-year anniversary, gosh, I can't believe it got here so fast. It's a big deal because any anniversary, once you get out this far, is a big deal because it gives people something that they need, or gives me something that I need. And I wish I had back in the day, 11, 12, 13 years ago. And what that thing I needed was perspective. When I was in the middle of my hip replacements, I wasn't thinking years ahead. It was hard just to even get through some days. I didn't have much perspective at all. There was no one to really look up to, no role models who had already been through these hip replacements, and who was living the life that I wanted to live. So I didn't really have anyone to turn to. I just had to trust the process, I guess you'd say. I hate that, such a cliche, trust the process. And I also had to believe in the surgeon and trust the surgeon and the physical therapist and just do what they told me to do in the hope that one day everything would be better. I was in recovery mode for a long time, about a year. And frankly, I'm still in recovery mode. But anyway, in that initial recovery mode, I was doing physical therapy in the clinic, at home. I was being careful. I was wondering what the future would hold. I was just trying to stay optimistic about the future. But it's hard to do when you're in the thick of it. It's hard to see some long-term vision when you're close to surgery, or you have surgery coming up, or you're in that initial recovery period, which I say is 3 to 6 months just for the initial recovery, not full recovery, just the initial recovery. But that's what those first days, weeks, and months are. They're just the initial recovery. And it's hard to see past that. Many people, I was in the same boat. Many people think about their hip replacements and they're focused on the next 11 minutes or the next 11 days or 11 weeks. And maybe on the out as far out as maybe 11 months. But have you ever thought about what's 10 years later look like? What's 11 years later like? It's hard to do that because everything is short term. And you may be wondering the short-term issues just like I was. When will I walk better? When will the pain calm down? When will this crazy itching and burning in my thigh go away? Can I trust this new hip? Am I going to fall? When will I feel normal again? And will my life ever feel fully active and enjoyable again? Am I ever going to get through this? I had all of those thoughts. I wanted everything to move faster than it was. And it was very hard to be patient back then around the surgery time when I was going through the physical therapy in the clinic. I was just hoping it would pay off. But being this far out from surgery, 11 years, certainly provides perspective. early on, everything was based on hope. I hope it works out. I hope I can be active. I hope this hip lasts. I hope I can return to some level of activity. That's not a really great, I mean, it's good to have hope, but that's not really a good situation to be in. And you may be in that situation. But what's important now is perspective. Because looking back, now everything is based on experience. Everything I can see going back was, yes, it made sense to be in that mindset. It made sense to do this. It made sense to do that. It made sense to worry. It made sense to hope. But I don't have to do that anymore. And I'm here to tell you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Because certainly what a change a decade or more can make. So I say yes, there is life on the other side of surgery. There is life years beyond surgery, and it can be a big life. It can be as big as you want it. So let me share a few observations that I've been thinking about recently. First, hip replacement is not just about getting through the surgery. Living past surgery, getting back on your feet, that's not the goal. It's about getting your life back. It's about getting into a bigger life. There certainly is the opportunity to move past the surgery. But focus on what you can do and do everything that you can to have the best recovery possible. You have to be an active participant. Second observation. Recovery is only the beginning. In the first 3 to 6 months, it's still the beginning. But at least you're nearing the end of the beginning. The real win, the real successes, the real momentum is what happens after that initial recovery months after. More walking, more training, whatever you want to do, more traveling, more playing with your kids or your grandkids, more time with friends, more golfing, more swimming, more vacationing, more cycling, exercising, and living with more confidence again. All of these things are there available. And those are the wins. Not just getting past the surgery, but living as you wanted to live. Third observation. When we're faced with a hip replacement surgery or the need for a hip replacement surgery, it's almost as if, life tried to hit us with a hammer and maybe we get a feeling of it's trying to keep us down. But we're living at a time where we have the opportunity to fix this issue, to take care of it, to go through something that's difficult for sure, but come through it on the other side and have a second chance, I guess you would say. People should take care of the gift that they've been given, another chance. A replaced hip is not a reason to become timid or shut off from life. But it's a reason to be intentional with what we do with the rest of our lives. So live big. Stay active. Stay strong. Maintain a good and healthy body weight. Keep moving. And don't let the surgery be the end of your story. It should not be the thing you talk about first in your life. It shouldn't be the lead story when you go and meet your friends. You can be way bigger than a hip replacement surgery, and it should just be a small part of your overall life story, because so many other great things that you can do in your life should overshadow this time. Fourth observation. There's going to be ups and downs even years later. Maybe some little scares, some pains, some tightness, some soreness in the legs, the hips, the back, and you're going to have questions. There may be even days when you wonder, what was that? That came out of nowhere. I've had that. My IT bands on the side of my legs, I didn't know what was happening for a few years after my surgery because the pain on the side of my hips, on the side of my thighs was so strong and sharp. I didn't know what it was, but I figured it out. So you may have that question of, wow, what was that? That hurt. But that doesn't automatically mean something is wrong. It means you still have a body, you still have feeling, and you're not a machine. And you have the opportunity to figure out why something is hurting, why your body isn't doing what you want it to do. So take care of yourself. I still do physical therapy every day. Every day. It's called exercise and stretching. Whether it's cycling or swimming or stretching, every morning and every night I'm stretching. Not for an hour, but I'm still stretching my back, my legs, my hips. If I didn't do those things, I would have aches and pains all the time. And I'm still relatively young. And it's far out from my surgeries. Fifth observation. An anniversary like this, 11 years, 10 years, 11 years, gives hope to people early on in the process. I wish I could have talked to somebody around the time I was having my surgery. I wish I could have talked to somebody who was 10 years out and being active. So if you're someone who's listening and you're 3 days or 3 weeks post-surgery, or you're scared about going into surgery, you may need to hear that years later, where I am now, a person can still be active, grateful, and thriving, and almost forget about the surgery. When most people think about a hip replacement, they think about short term. They think about getting through the surgery, getting off the walker, getting back to driving, getting through physical therapy as quickly as possible. But 11 years later, all this time later, I can tell you that a hip replacement is not just about recovery. Recovery is not good enough. It's about reclaiming your life, or better yet, building on your life. The hip replacement may be the catalyst that you need to do more than you would have with your life if you did not have that hip replacement. Then the surgery, it's more about what becomes possible after the recovery, after that initial recovery. It's about moving better, living bigger, and not letting pain or embarrassment or shame or fear shrink your world. If you're early on in your initial recovery, or you're nervous about the surgery, let this podcast and this episode be a reminder that the goal is not just to survive the procedure of the surgery. The goal is to build a strong, active, confident life on the other side. One stronger, more active, and more confident than you had before. All of this does not happen fast. Recovery takes patience. Don't pay attention to the person next to you on social media doing all these incredible, unbelievable things. You don't know their story. So be patient in your recovery. Be on your path to recovery. One of the things that is surprising to me, and I still have to pinch myself because of where I was 11, 12, 13 years ago, is that tonight, after my kids finish their schoolwork, we're going to go to one of the amusement parks in Central Florida where we live. We're certainly going to walk a lot. We're going to ride as many roller coasters as we can. We're probably going to stay out way too late. And we're certainly going to eat way too much cotton candy and other things we should not be eating. But there's no place I'd rather be. When I was going through my surgeries 11 and almost 13 years ago on the other hip, I could not have imagined this day because I was too focused on the short term and just making it through the day and trying to walk again and eliminate my limp and just trying to feel normal again. Yet here today is, all these years later. My hope for you is that you do what you need to do to get back on your feet stronger than ever and living your best life ever. So that 11 years after your surgery, you can be exactly where you want to be. I hope this is helpful. Thanks so much for tuning into the Hip Replacement Podcast. And until next time, I wish you the best recovery possible. Take care.